Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are here for the Raw Food Podcast with JJ and Skye, and I am so excited. I think you know both of our stories, but we both healed from raw food. I think that's how my friend Skye always starts it out here. And that's why we're so excited and we're so passionate, and we really um, one of the other passions we have is helping people that are new or beginners to this lifestyle because one of the things is there's so much confusion out there, and sometimes it can feel easy to get overwhelmed and to really, just really not know where to start, or maybe worse, you start and then you get confused and then you go back to your old diet and you don't get the healing that you deserve. For me, I ended back pain, allergies, lost weight, and have kept it off easier than any diet I've ever had, more energy, clarity, just a really good experience. And Skye came just healed herself from out of bed. I'll let her talk about it, but she was, really truly healed with it. So we want you to get the best experience with that.
Yes, and hey everybody. So yeah, raw foods, like just what it did to me was amazing. Okay, so I got out of bed. I had all these health problems like the FND. I had POTS, tachycardia, hormone problems. I've had 60 surgeries, and everything seemed to stop with the raw foods. And on this topic, I think what's really important, what people need to know is you're now looking at me. What are you, JJ? 7 years into this? Are you 7 years into the raw foods? Oh, I can't hear you.
Yes, April will be 7 years
Okay.
that I'm raw vegan. April 19th. So I started in 2019. So yes, I'm so excited about that.
So yeah, you're 7 years in, I'm 5 years in, and people come on YouTube and they see what we do and they feel overwhelmed. Like it feels like a lot. Like they're like, these people are not only doing raw food, they're helping others, they're doing recipes, it's like I even think when people do it simply like you, JJ, where you love just like a simple salad, is it can seem overwhelming to people. And you have to own where you're at. So
Hmm.
that might mean for some people they're just able right now to go vegetarian, or they're able to be vegan or whole food plant-based, or just do some raw. But the more real you are with yourself, the more healing you get. I really owned where I was at when I started. As in, like I've said this before, some nights I'd get up and have a cup of, I'd do my raw day, and then I'd get up at night and do a couple of avocados, like at 10 o'clock at night to get me through my day, or start scooping into the nut butter. It stopped me drinking, it stopped me smoking, it stopped me eating cooked food, and I would wake up raw. Do I do that now? I haven't done that in years, but it's really important you do what you can and don't worry about the next level of being raw or your health journey. You've got to nail where you're at and learn the skills. And I think it's really important for people new to understand that when you see people online doing it, we didn't start like this.
Right. Exactly. I mean, it's been all over the place. And I think one of the things that we want to do at this point is kind of figure out all the things, all the different ways we did it, all the mistakes, and understand that they were all part of this journey to come to where we are. But also, there are a few things that you could skip over. And if you're so inclined to listen to us, that would be one of the things I would say. A lot of the mindset stuff is stuff that I've learned and had to go through kind of all that confusion and worrying about other people, like so many different opinions and things like that, both in people in your own life and in the raw vegan communities even sometimes. And so I think one of the things is to make it your own. That's one of the overlaying like concepts that we always get back to is, we can give you advice and things that work for us, best practices, but the important thing is making it work in your life. So for all of you who are now saying, I'm going to start this over if you've done it before, or hey, I'm going to try this for the first time, like a New Year's resolution. One of the things we wanted to talk about in this podcast was don't just make it a resolution, make it a plan too, because it's a bit of a life change when you're changing what you eat, and you want to make it easy for yourself to reach for raw food. Like make your environment about being raw now. Even if you have family members eating another way, make sure you've got like I remember when I first went raw, I had a bag of my salad stuff, and literally, I never even took it out of the bag. I would put it into the fridge, and that way I knew when it was mine, because at first Dawn went with me, but then she went back to like regular diet. So I wanted my stuff. I knew exactly where it was. I grabbed it, and when I wanted something, it was in that particular bag. I'd get all my salad stuff out, and like this I've made it a little bit of an experience. Like I would set up my little raw vegan show on the YouTube on my phone and prop it up and start making salad. And I made it fun. So I think you have to have a plan, but also make it work how it works in your life, how you can make it fun for you.
Yeah. I think the other thing that you touched on just there is, and I did this as well, is I never stayed on any diets in my life until I went raw because I had to, right? If I wanted to be out of bed, that was the answer. And I knew it was lack of fun, lack of dopamine, why we don't continue doing things. And someone was talking about, I don't know who it was, about habits, healthy habits, how it takes 21 days to build a new habit. And the first week will go really, really well. The second week you won't do so well. Third week, you may just leave it, or you'll have to kind of go through and find habits that start to work for you. With that in mind, you have to remember, when you find something new, you go and do it out of, you're excited. It's, even though it's healthy, it's new. That gives you dopamine. You're thinking of all these weight loss journeys and healing journeys, more dopamine. But then the reality, and you start to plateau, right? So a huge thing for me was combination of flavors, lots of different textures, that, like, you don't have to buy big bulks, but buy lots of different flavors. Use your apple cider vinegar, use your tamari. If you need to put a sauce on there, like a sriracha sauce or whatever, go for it. I think it's really important to make your own dopamine, especially at the start when you first go raw. And yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I completely agree. Good to see you, Carl. And I saw Koala Mama here. Thank you. She said she was just watching the replay of your other live, and great
Yay!
background. Yeah, I know we got the veggies up, getting everybody in the zone to get all their salad and veggies tonight and a recipe maybe. But I was
Woo!
thinking, oh, uh-oh, I lost
Sorry,
you.
I'm like trying to keep up with the comments and I flicked myself off.
Oh, that's okay. I'll put them up as they come up for you so
Okay,
you don't have,
thanks.
or I can actually show it on here.
It,
Let's do it that
oh,
way.
that works. That would be
Yeah,
great.
that's awesome. That
Okay.
way we can both see it because I have to go back and forth.
Yay! I see now, guys.
Sorry, I didn't even have them up. It was my fault. But I was thinking, I heard this recently that motivation wears off, and sometimes you have to do things. At least, I feel one thing is, once you start experiencing healing, I was kind of like Sky. I knew that if I went back to eating the way I ate before, I would end up back with back pain. And it was the worst thing, and allergies that I had forever. And I didn't want that. So overall, that's one of the reasons I stayed in the beginning. But then I ended up, you ever watch one of those romantic comedies where they do something like they plan this date, they're supposed to pretend like they're married, but then they end up really falling in love. Like, I felt like
Yes.
that's what happened with this diet. Like, I started it because I was like, I want to lose weight. And then once I lost weight, that was great. But then I had done that with other diets, because you can lose weight in a multitude of ways. It's not always healthy. And then I really ended up saying, wait a minute, now I don't have any pain. And that's never happened with any other diet. And I never had my allergies go away. So this was great. I stayed for that. And then all of a sudden, over time, I started finding out more information, understanding more about veganism, and then starting to really love raw food, especially going out of it, like for brief times when I went back to some processed food and realizing the big extreme change that that little bit of dopamine from that, candy bar or vegan burger or whatever it was, never would replace this, what I have now, the energy, the clarity, and it just became something that I started loving the food. I started loving everything about it. And then I loved the simplicity of it. 'Cause, like,
Mhm.
I always like to have things really simple. I just do the same thing every day, but even if you don't, you can make it how you like it. You can make recipes, you can combine it with things that make foods like Sky shows in her recipe books. You can do it any way. There's not one way to, to do this. And it's really all getting the same, I think, benefits. Like we all feel clear and we all usually feel a lot better physically, but you can do it different ways, like me and Sky do it differently.
Yeah. You know, I was just thinking as you're talking, if I was to do this over, start again. So my New Year's resolution was to go raw. What am I? I'm on the 30th of December right now. Going back and knowing how I did it and what I know is I would already semi start with whatever I had around me. One of the worst things you can do for your brain is train it expertly, which most of us have done, especially by the age of 40, in putting something off. One of your biggest challenges is retraining your brain. You're like, I've eaten bad. I'm going to start the diet on Monday. I saw this cleanse. I'm going to start it in 2 weeks. Do you know how many years people have done that? And then they start, and then yes, there's dopamine which gets you through, but you're retraining that. Oh, I'll just put it off again. I'll just put it off again. I'm going to start learning flying lessons. Oh, I'll do that next month. I'm going to do dance. Do you know how trained we are at putting things off? So I would do whatever I could right now, even if it was a little bit of salad on my plate or an extra piece of fruit with what I'm eating, because just stop saying already, even with 2 days, you've got to, that is going to be one of the biggest challenges. The other thing I would do is okay, I have this recipe called the salad that saved my life. And it's not a set recipe because you can change it up, right? It's like a whole lot of different levels of greens and garlics and gingers and chilies, but you can change the veggies and the spices you can change and the nuts and seeds. And that worked so well for me. And I just use different citrus combinations, and you'd be surprised how many variations there are on that salad just by adding different veggies, different nuts and seeds. And, in the example, I mostly use paprika and turmeric as the flavors, but you can use onion, garlic powder. You can use basil, chive, curry. You can mix it up. And that worked really well for me. But I would find a base recipe which you love, maybe one or two that you can mix and match. This is what the first step I would do. The second step I would do is have in the cupboard snacks, which they're not your meals, but when you're about to crack it, you go and have, like, whether that's date balls with cacao that are already pre-made, whether that is, you've got some frozen bananas to do like a cashew banana ice cream, which you can do as meals as well. But like, think out what your breakout, like when you're about to just eat the wrong food, what you would eat. So that was one of mine. I had some cacao, I don't know whether it was cacao, but they were in a packet. I also had some tins of lentils left over. One time I ate some of the lentils. Dates and nut butter.
You see
Yes,
mine are right next to me, right?
yeah, I wouldn't be going and having like lunch of just dates and peanut butter. Like, you don't want to be in that habit. You really
Exactly.
want to have fresh foods. But think out your, I don't even want to call them snacks, because your snacks, you really just want to train your brain to focus on like living foods when you first start. What are some other things? Some other times I just crack open half an avocado and put, like,
Mhm.
I was obsessed with turmeric and stuff it with ginger. Just think through, like, what are some like dense things you can put together. Banana and peanut butter. You really don't want to like have 4 bananas all coated in peanut butter. But if you train your brain that when you're about to eat cooked food, you have these denser snacks, that's what worked really well for me. I just scoops of peanut butter. Like, is it worth just eating the peanut butter or the almond butter as opposed to, you don't even need the dates, as opposed to going to cook food? These were things I was not going. I would rather do anything but eat cooked food. So
Yes.
um, I'd start now. I would have these dense snacks, like have a whole list of them. Start eating all of them before you go to cooked food, because it is going to be so strong, the urge to go back. Like, unbelievable. Anyone who's come onto this knows that when it comes on at the start, you're going to have to eat an avocado, banana with nut butter, get pre-made date and coconut balls, make some protein balls, whatever. So they're the first two things. The final thing I would do is you want to focus on fresh and abundance. So at the start, like you're saying, I was very similar to you. You have a bag, you've gone to the grocery shop, or the fruit shop we have in Australia, or wherever you go, and get lots of different things. It really helps. Like if you just have lettuce and tomato, like to me, I barely ate the lettuce, tomato, avocado salad in the first year and a half because it was so triggering as how boring salad is in my past. Like
Mhm.
I've got years of learning that you're given this dopey looking salad, and like you're like, so it took me years to appreciate that again, because this is what the brain does to us. But the more variation of like, I want some basil and lime and mango and chili and some sprouts, if you want anything that's alive, make that your diet. Like
Yeah.
fruit, whatever it is, alive. And then if you are really struggling and you use nuts and seeds or the nut butters or dates, dates can be pretty handy actually when you first start. Dates and bananas, I wouldn't really I still classify dates as like a living food, but really stock up on like the things like those nuts and seeds and nutritional yeast and all of that, but they're not your diet. They're like the extras. Any long-term raw vegan knows that you don't sit there all day eating nutritional yeast and peanut butter.
Right.
Like it's there and it gives you nutrients, but it's dense. So it's not meant to be a meal. And truly they're the things. Oh, and nature. If you are like about to have a nervous breakdown, rip your shoes off and run outside. I don't care if it is snowing, put 4 pairs of socks on, or stay in your ski gear and hug a tree. Just get out, find a way to get outside. So we're not putting it off. Just do some of it now. Over prepare for your addictions because they're just going to absolutely smash you. Eat lots of fresh food and get outside. They're like the tips. Like that's basically all I did. Rinse and repeat those. Like everything that happened to me as I went raw pretty much fell into those categories.
I love that. I was just writing some stuff into my phone as I was thinking of it so that I didn't sit here and do what I normally do. I'm like, I had something I wanted to say. Now, what was it? Um, this one, welcome, Wanda. Thank you. I appreciate you being here. I just saw you pop in. Well, you mentioned something in the very beginning. It says, and I thought about this video I made once that said, stop starting over. So I think there's a mindset shift of we get excited, we start something, and then we're really mean to ourselves if we go, maybe you've heard you're not supposed to have nut butter. So then let's say you have nut butter, and then you say to yourself, I messed up. I'm done. I'm gonna have to start all over on Monday. So I'm just gonna eat like whatever I want for the weekend. Or if
Yeah.
you did have something cooked or whatever it is, remember that I would look at this like you're figuring it out. So instead of looking at it as I'm raw or I'm not raw, look at it as I'm working with myself here to make myself the healthiest I can be. And I know raw food makes me healthy. And always look at what you're adding. Like when you're writing stuff down, instead of writing every time I messed up, write down all the raw foods you had that day or that week and think about how much more raw it was than the previous week. And then, like, I wrote down here, like, I love that you gave me an idea to write down a list of those treats, like so that we can have it on hand for our groups, like a PDF or something of treats to grab
Yeah.
when you're about to go unraw. But be nice to yourself. Like that's it. That's what the thing is. I know sometimes when we're really, I just am doing a video about this. When you're really a high achiever in other parts of your life or perfectionist, even like you like to keep things right, get things right. This isn't something you can do right or wrong. It's something that you have to kind of figure out along the way. So having everything around, but also understanding that this is real life. And sometimes things aren't going to go as perfectly, but you don't have to be perfect. You can just do the best you can because it's still going to be healthier than what you were probably previously doing if you are looking into something like this. You're going to start to feel the healing and you're going to start to figure it out Like for me, that's when I found, hey, when I'm hungry, I go to fruit during the day. When at night, I go to a salad or something more dense. And if I'm still hungry, I'll go for something like dates or something like that, or a smoothie, maybe even. But I don't go to bed hungry because I'm only supposed to have a salad. And I think that's where we start to like deprive ourselves and say, okay, I can't have this, I can't have this, I can't have this, I can't have this. And all of a sudden you wake up like depressed, like I can't have anything. But if you look at all those beautiful things you can have, it really does make a difference, especially if you're brand new to this. You'll figure
Yeah.
out, like, I love what you said, have a bunch of different stuff because you'll figure out what your little favorites are that you have,
Yeah.
like I had went through a period of a whole year almost that I had clementines every day for lunch, and I know that's I'm just weird like that with the habits, but I found out after trying all kinds of fruit, like, they made me feel the best, and they were, like, the best tasting, but you might think it's watermelon, right? Like, whatever.
Exactly. So this is so many lessons I learn, and I do contribute them to the clarity you get with the raw foods and the spiritual aspect with the raw foods. But a lot of what we're taught we need to do is do things like journal, okay? And journal, and this is why I don't journal unless I'm manifesting, is because you start training your brain to pull out everything negative and put it down. And so that for me, I can't go there. And this is me, I'm not telling anybody else to do, because I had to stop training my brain in what I can't do and what I don't have and all the problems of the world. How much better, think about if you sit down in a book and go, I got through half a day of raw food. I got
Mhm.
out in the sun today. You should see how much fun I have with my nieces. And I'm feeling my skin like I'm getting goosebumps now just thinking of these things. And then you go to bed and you feel better. And I think we can train ourselves inadvertently and not even realize and feel that because I feel like one of the things my brain has worked the hardest on is seeing only happiness. And that may seem crazy because you will still feel pain, you will still go through suffering, you will have ups and downs. But if you focus solely on I only see happiness, you'll get so much more happiness um, out of yourself. Now,
Yes.
the other thing, what was the other thing I wanted to? Oh, I forgot now. That I had something I wanted to say as well about when you first. Oh, I know what it is. So when I first went raw, and I'm standing in the kitchen eating a tin of peanut butter, and I accidentally realize I've got halfway through it, I start thinking how much of a legend I am for not vaping, for not drinking, for not smoking, for standing up in the kitchen for a long period of time. I just start congratulating myself. And if you eat raw foods, you will notice how much more naturally it comes to be positive and happier. Like that to me also is not just someone's attitude. The raw foods makes you feel more positive and happy just in it. But I would just like a lot of the time I would, no matter what I did or ate, I'd be thinking, God, if baby Skye or like my inner child was looking at me right now, she'd think I'm an absolute health queen. Like, how
Yeah.
did you get so like? Even though I've just come on, like, is it possible to be this healthy? Can you not even cook food? And I would think about that too, and I'd be like, I'm a legend. I'm doing this. I
That's
got,
how I think you have to look at yourself, right? You are a legend. I mean, to do something different than everybody else, different than you've
yes.
done in your previous life, to do it for you. Like so many people do things for other people, which I love too because I'm a giver. I love helping others. And but think about what have you done for yourself? And this is the ultimate gift, putting the good stuff in that you know is going to heal you and make it easier on your body. It's like I wanted to say really quick too. It was funny, and it just reminded me. I got to my mom's on Christmas. We drove about three. It was like 3.5 hours because I drive slow. Some people have called me a grandmother driver, but that's okay. I get there safely. But I get there, and it's like almost 2 in the morning, and I've got, of course, my little bag of salad stuff, and I never did get to eat before we left, and I was so hungry. So like, there's all these chocolates and my a friend of the family, Debbie, she makes like chocolates for the family every time, like not for me, but just as to have around. And she had brought them the night before, and there was all kinds of food and stuff there. And I'm like 2 in the morning. making my little salad, and it's just like that's just I was excited about it. Like I was excited to have my salad. You know how I get about it, but it's not easy in the beginning, but you have to think this is my standard now. This is how I eat. And it's I still had a wonderful time with the family, but I just didn't eat what they ate, and
Yeah.
it's hard to do that. But I wanted to thank Laurie, also my friend in my VIP group, because I was about to talk about community. She made this card herself and sent it to me. Thank you, Laurie. I told you I was going to give you a shout out. Um, but like, it's also important to have community if you're getting ready to do this. I really think, like I only know mine and Sky's right now because I'm in it, and I can see what she posts and I know her, but there's a lot of good ones. But make sure it's one that you feel you can celebrate wins, because there are some where you'll just see constant lots of struggles, which I love, but I encourage people to post good things. I post happy things, and when I've chosen fruit, and posting pictures of food and things like that, because sometimes you can get caught up in seeing everybody just really like, I can't do this, or it didn't work for me. And if you really bog your brain down, you really put that in my mind earlier when you were talking about the journal. Maybe we should call it a positivity journal, right? Like we only write down
Yeah.
when we ate raw food, because you're exactly right. We can get so caught up in negativity that it really just can hurt the whole thing. And it's just two different mindsets. It's like, I'm going to look at what's working, or I'm going to pull everything out that's negative. And I think pushing yourself to really try to see the positive in this and see the beauty of it is so helpful, especially in in the beginning and throughout. But I think we kind of start to run on autopilot after a while, where we just know what we like, and it's not a decision every minute every time we eat. We just, okay, this is what I eat, or this is what I'm going to have. You might want to
Yeah.
figure out what you're going to eat that day, right? Like, but it's still not as hard as when you first are making a decision to like stop your old way of living and into the new raw food living.
Look, you're right. And I want to just touch more on positivity. And like a lot of people who do, what do you want to call it, manifestation channels or positivity or getting your dream life, what they all constantly say, because I know a lot of people are like, no, you've got to acknowledge the dark. The dark won't go. I promise you it won't go. It'll still be there. But what if your perception of it is different? And that's what all these people say on these channels is, people ask, how do you get through trauma? There's this trauma. That trauma's there. It's there, but what do you take away from it? And that's why I've had a couple of comments on some of my channels saying, you've been through this too, you've been through that too, and you're so positive. And it's like, if I don't take the lessons from life, even mine were quite extreme, but even in everyday circumstances, life will tear me apart. There is so much negativity in the world that even if you constantly think of positive, trust me, you'll still be able to process the negative. But what if you are now letting it come through at a rate which suits you? What if everything that was sent to hurt you actually made you? And I'm a prime example. I totally am in gratitude for what I went through, for making me the woman I am today. You can't teach that in a book. The only reason I am who I am is because of my past. And I will say, being positive, it's a skill, but I feel like it's in all of us. It's just that the world can feel so dark. And I think that we're trained from a young age in fear, that we precondition ourselves. And everything I've spoken about, and you've spoken about as well, is having a salad at 2 a.m. is freaking amazing. Like, I have memories of being quite young and coming home from somewhere, drinking more alcohol and ordering a pizza.
Hmm.
Like, like what am I doing now? I can't, I'm distressed. I need more food, especially when you start. I'm getting out lettuce, peanut butter, some carrot and cashews and soy sauce. Like,
Yeah.
hello, that's one of the most positive things I could do for myself. But
Right.
it's not up to somebody else, or the protocol, or life. It's up to you to see how good you are. And also, about helping other people is, My whole personality feels like it can become helping other people, but only because I've filled my cup. Like
Hmm.
a lot of people that I coach, which is so beautiful, is they get their dream life because their cup is full. And when it overflows, it usually is like this art aspect that comes out of them: singing, art, yoga teachers, Pilates teachers, health coaches, motivational speakers. And it all comes of something, usually a passion they had as a child that just somewhere along the way got completely shut down. And it makes you realize how much most people are just surviving. And
Yeah.
surviving means making money. Surviving means throwing something down and rushing off to do something for somebody else. Where I feel like if you work on yourself and maybe limit the time you spend with others and get your cup full, once it overflows, it seems to overflow, if you're looking after yourself, into what you were truly always meant to do.
I totally believe that, and I don't know if this happened with you, but like like the compassion just seems like it has become so much greater when I've decided to have compassion for me too. And I'm not perfect at it, of course. I still get down on myself from time to time, but for the most part, like raw food has brought me to be, I think, a even better person for the people around me too. And I feel so much clearer to handle things that come my way. I feel like, uh, I've heard people say this even in their professions, like if they really love what they do already and at work, and it just makes them seem like they take it up a notch. Even you wouldn't think that what you're eating has so much of a difference. And I would say too, in that being kind to yourself, I think that's the part where there's like two things I have used. If you are someone who wants to stay with this and you're having these cravings, I was thinking about there's something I used before called delay, because sometimes it's that moment, it's that stress of the moment that might be making you want to find familiarity in and if you can get through that, like Sky, I know you talk about nature a lot. If you can figure out something to do, even if it's say, you know what, I'll have that later on if I'm still feeling this. I'll go back to eating cooked food or whatever it is you're trying not to eat, and where I want a processed burger right now, I want vegan food, but I'm going to try to just hold off on that for a little while and just try to eat sometimes it's just your body is hungry, and try to eat something else. And I swear it has worked on multiple times for me, especially in the beginning. I used to deliver food. So there was constant smells. And I remember saying a couple of times, well, I don't know if I'm going to make it to my salad tonight, but then I was like, you know what, if I still want that, I'll go ahead and have it. Like I'd put it off until this weekend or the next day, talking about putting stuff off. But it's good when you're putting off the bad stuff. And, more times than not, you'd be surprised how that will work, because you realize couple hours later you're like, no, I don't want to give up on this. This is too beautiful how I'm feeling. I don't want to do that, and it's interesting how that works. Sometimes I think our brains are so smart, but we almost have to kind of like trick them in the beginning and keep positive when you maybe don't even want to. Try to think of something you're grateful for. It really does help to stay in gratitude. And I think as you get deeper and deeper into raw or high raw, wherever you are landing, you'll see that that comes easier and easier. It's easier to be positive the better you start feeling. So if you're living in pain, or you don't feel good about yourself, your body, or you feel foggy, it's so easy to get caught up in negativity. I really believe as you um start putting more raw foods in, you can even feel a difference even if you're not fully raw yet.
I agree with all of that. What was really apparent when I healed myself, and what I wish people could know, but maybe it's part of their journey, is that you already have everything you need inside of you to heal yourself. So a great example, if you know my story, is 60 surgeries, 15 years straight to bed, always sick, probably more than 8 organs removed, been through so much, dissociated, lost my mind, became homeless. It was like I'd had a stroke with the FND, right? So I'm as time's gone on, I'm going further
Can you
away.
guys believe that? Look at her now. This vibrant woman sitting here doing all these amazing things. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you. But if you look and hear my journey, is I'm not getting closer to those professors and surgeons and emergency room doctors and experts and physios and nutritionists and naturopaths. I'm getting further away from education, right? From what we can fill ourselves with, thinking it's going to fix them, to the point where when I heal myself, my brain really is nothing like it was now, and nothing even like it was before I dissociated. So we're talking about a person who's childlike, in mannerisms and brains, and even childs could access more computers at the point I was. My body just did not work. Yet at that point, I was remembering things from so far away as like lessons, as if parables were just coming into me, as if we were always supposed to know that. And they're very simple, because a lot of people like Skye know you had a really good childhood and you didn't have much trauma. Well, from 8, all I really had was trauma. So that ain't true. But the memories I have are moments where nobody else is around. They're moments that came to me, which was so apparent, where I'm in the ocean as a child and you're not wanting things, you're just happy. And I'm like, well, there's water around here. I can do that. Some people, it might be the mountains, they might play in streams. These are things that get so pushed away, as in, like, oh, that's a cute memory and I should listen to this expert. This is the stuff that saved my life. The experts did not save my life. And I believe I'm not the only person who's in this situation, right? And then I've spoken about the one where I watched my dad for my entire life get up, not speak to anyone in the family, go swimming. Every morning he'd do, I think, like over a kilometer in the ocean. And then he'd come up and then he'd make himself fresh juice and small ones for me and my sister, which we chose often not to drink. Uh, he'd also make his own breakfast. And then he'd start engaging with what he needed to do around him, right? I watched this for years. But at rock bottom, I started to go, why is my dad in the family never sick? Never sick. If I looked at his entire day, mostly he ate raw food. His lunch was 2 salad sandwiches, so all salad and just bread. He then usually ran at lunchtime. He would eat his food. So he's exercising, he's thinking of himself, he's doing lots of fresh whole foods. And at night, whatever mum made, which was mostly whole food. On the weekends, he wasn't like that, of course. But I'm like thinking, like, in my head, and these are not taught. These are a child watches. And this is why when people are like, oh, I can't do that, I've got to slam back my coffee and get my child somewhere. What if your child ends up at rock bottom like me and remembers their mum is having a juice? So, like, even if you're being put down by your family,
They're
children,
watching.
they're watching on their subconscious level. And this is what I wanted for my nieces, right? They're
Yeah.
happy, healthy now, but what if it's all ingrained? They watch what I do, right? And this is more powerful, to think that when my brain was not working, I could put this together. And there was another thing which was really apparent. That out of all the things I'd been put on in my life and all the surgeries and all the doctors, is there was one naturopath who was good friends with my dad, actually, who said, Skye, no matter what problem it is, if you eat just veggies with some tamari and salt every day for 2 weeks, most of people's markers are changing on their blood test. And I'd been put on, every time someone gave me something, there was a list of what I could and couldn't eat. There was a whole lot of supplements. There was a whole lot of herbs. And I was almost like changing from one bad thing to another. If you've got muscle activation or sensitivity, I couldn't hear my own body. And so I remembered that out of all the things I'd been put on, him putting me on this, I did feel better. And
Hmm.
all my brain had to do was kind of put these situations together and think about that. Like, I went to university for 5 years, a private school, none of it. I couldn't access my science. Uh,
Yeah.
and so it really was telling. And I think that's why it's taken this long for me to start reading again, because I realized the power that others' words have in my own head. And I'm better off using my own situations and experience to help myself and others. But just think about that, like how sick I was. And at the end, is it was that, and then feeling the raw foods, and the raw foods open you up to be able to really sit in the space of these things. And I just realized as well, things like running around as a kid in school holidays, summer holidays with no shoes on, was when I also did much better. So these were just very primal, basic things that, and it really made me sit there and think that I believe that everybody who wants to heal has their own things to teach them. But if we're so noisy, and I don't believe you can just fast your way there. I believe it's like a step by step of kindness and love, because a lot of these situations that I'm remembering are pure love. You know, dad looking after himself, me purely watching, somebody going, Skye, they're not selling me anything, just eat vegetables for 2 weeks, see
Yeah.
what happens. They're all like free type stuff. That healed me. And I think that's what I would love. And it's very hard to explain this to people, because when you have layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of education,
Yes.
you could not possibly believe it, right?
Yes, I definitely I'll see, and I just oh, maybe we can continue this because I know you told me you had another call and I was supposed to be the time watcher this week because you didn't have
Yeah.
your computer up, but it's like it's a little bit after like 2 after 6, so I
Oh,
know we should wrap it up so I'm not
yes.
disrespecting your next wonderful guest. But I love everything we're talking about. I'm going to make a note. Maybe we can just do this again since it's still the new year and a way we can continue on this or whatever else we come up with. But I do appreciate like that is so important to trust yourself. And I get those questions too all
Yeah.
the time from people. I know I'm not supposed to do this. I know I'm not supposed to have this. Have whatever it is that's fruit, vegetable, nut, or seed. Just have it. Like, especially in the beginning, if you're still trying to figure this out, I think keeping that really simplified approach is so important and listen to your body and yourself because you can overlearn. You're so right.
Yes, and I think that's where, and just before we go, where nature can come in is if you feel that the more time you get those feet on your bottom on the earth, Mother Nature will show you the most, like, I wouldn't believe it. I wouldn't believe it until I experienced it. So, yes, I've got a client, so I've got to
Yes.
get.
Oh, that's right. It was a client. So that's oh, we gotta let Sky go. But thank you all so much. Is that Dan Shibaya. I was trying to sound it out. Thank you for joining. I think I said hi to everybody else. Koala Mama, we appreciate you. And Wanda, I saw you jump in there, and I'm probably missing someone, but I know you have to go, so I'm gonna stop talking. Carl, that's my friend. Thank you. All right,
Bye,
everybody,
guys.
have a wonderful evening. Thanks, Sky.
Bye.